88% chance to make the playoffs. The Texans, get this, had just an 11% chance prior to their current 5-game winning streak. Dan, the defense gets most of the attention, understandably so. They are nasty. But what have you seen that you like from the offense as well of late?
So last week it was the pocket movement by CJ, and this is not just last week, but it's been their trend for a couple weeks now. It's their 6th offensive lineman offense. Okay, so it's not just their run game, but I do like the fact that it's allowing them to be somewhat efficient in their run game. 6 offensive linemen. Blake Fisher, the second-year player from Notre Dame, comes in for the tight end position. I think it allows the double teams to be a little bit more sound, them to at least get the run started. That's been a huge deal. This past week, they implemented a little bit more of the play-action stuff. Why does that matter? Because then, one, you can block a defensive end one-on-one with the tight end, that 6th tackle, and then that shores up the 5 offensive linemen, essentially blocking only 3 defensive linemen, gives you the chance to push the ball downfield. 6 offensive linemen, again, down in the goal line, the red zone, the inside the 5-yard line area, where so often defensive lines slant. Tight ends get beat on the inside. Having the body presence just confirms the win at the line of scrimmage. And this is an offense that doesn't need to be explosive all the time. It doesn't need to create a ton of big plays. It just can't be negative play dominant. I think that kind of core part of who they are offensively at least gives plays the chance to get started and then some shots down the field. CJ's a good enough player to make up for the other parts. I think their offense is good enough to make a playoff run.
Yeah, the best part of this conversation that we're having now is that we're not talking about the interior of the offensive line getting devastated. And they've created that, to your point, Dan. I like his non-built-in quarterback movement as well. There were several times when he was able to evade pressure, step up in the pocket, and make plays pushing the ball down the field. And if you guys remember coming out of college, this was the question that he had until he played late in the playoff game, I believe, and he showed some of this movement. But this is what it's going to have to be at times for the Houston Texans. You love that he's back healthy, play breakdown, he's able to get outside of the pocket. Chris Jones at times should have had CJ dead to rights, but his athleticism bailed him out on a lot of plays. And these are the type of plays that we all know you're going to have to make if you want to make a playoff run, like you mentioned, Dan. So I was very impressed by that. His poise, but also his mobility and ability to go above and beyond the X's and O's and extend plays and make plays down the field with him.
No, it's Dan Orlovsky took what I was going to say about the negative plays. Like, that's what it does. It takes away those negative plays. And as the Philadelphia Eagles, those negative plays are just crushing. You're just constantly in these 2nd and 3rd and longs. And it's just, it forces you to be, extra predictable. But CJ in that game really made some awesome throws, really impressive throws. And I agree also with the movement. Evading the pressure. I mean, he was pressured a ton in that game. He was actually pressured more than Patrick Mahomes was in that game. He dealt with the pressure better. The Texans as a whole dealt with the pressure better. CJ was under duress, no doubt about it. In those moments, you saw, I don't want to say glimpses because that's too strong of a word or maybe even too weak of a word. It'll make sense when I say it out loud. You really saw what can make CJ Stroud special. You can see why people were so hyped on what he can do for a football team as a quarterback. And you really did see those moments. And that's why when we don't get enough of that, enough momentum, and I'm not blaming him, I'm just talking about the team, the construction of the team, the coaching, whatever it may be, like, it's so frustrating because you're like, I see greatness there. I see greatness there. And I see someone who's unmoved by the moment as well. I mean, this was a huge game and a huge moment for this team. And it was just like nothing like him. Like, he just had the same facial expression the entire game. Like, it was just nothing. I mean, you could see Patrick Mahomes screaming at the refs. Mahomes got sacked one time and he was like, he cried and yelled really the entire time to the officiating. And it was just like, I'm just like, what are you doing right now? What are you carrying on about right now? And CJ takes very much almost kind of like a Jalen Hurts mentality, a little bit different because CJ looks like has a little bit lighter of a mentality than Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts is very stoic and serious, and CJ, I would say, is a couple notches below that, and where it's just a little bit looser, but still very much like this. No panic, no, not getting too high, not getting too low. And there was that moment when it was like, you can't take a sack, you can't take a sack, and he didn't. The pressure kind of got to him, and it was just like, oh my God, don't take that sack. And it's like, it's one of those tricky things though, because it is where it's like, if you get away with it and you don't take that sack, you're a hero, you're amazing. It's like, how do you just pull that off? But if you do, if you try to extend yourself a little too much and now you do take that sack and now you are out of field goal range, it's just like you just did the one thing you can't do. And that's like an extension of the negative plays. Not exactly how Orlovsky meant it, but now like how I definitely mean it, where it's just like, as long as you minimize that damage and your defense is controlling the game, you're going to do damage, right? You're going to come away with these wins. What I would like to be able to see the Texans do, and they had the opportunity against the Kansas City Chiefs, and again, you can credit the Kansas City Chiefs for getting after CJ. There was a moment, there were a couple moments throughout the course of the game where the Texans could have put the Chiefs away. They could have just been like, this game is over now, like we are 100% in the driver's seat. And that wasn't they were unable to do that. That's always going to make you a bit uncomfortable. And especially if you're talking about going on a serious playoff run, you just want to be able to see them close the door, because if you give anyone any type of breathing room, teams often find ways, right? They find ways. The Texans have found ways, so other teams certainly can find ways as well. And I'm so curious, because the Texans are such a unique team. So are teams like the 49ers, like with all their injuries and how they've been able to stay afloat. And I asked the 49ers fans, like right off the bat, I wish I did this at the top of this clip, where I'm just like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel you can go on a legitimate run? Like, do you believe that you're a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Are you just like, hey, this is pretty cool that we found ways to win games. We can get to the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game. Like what are the expectations? And I'm asking Houston Texans fans, like straight up, like, what are the expectations? What do you believe the Texans can do? What do you think is realistic? Like, not what you hope for, but like, what do you think is realistic? And it's like, would you be upset if you won a playoff game and then lost the next round, or just like, or are you like fed up with that kind of like win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and you're just like, no, like we got to get to an AFC championship game or something, or, we got to be at least competitive in the divisional round, or no? Like this defense is good enough. The offense is elite, but like the offense is good enough, and we should be able to slow down these other teams and get to a Super Bowl, right? Or AFC championship game, whatever it may be. So I'd really love to hear Texans fans' thoughts on that one, because I don't at this point, like I don't have a strong reference point to how the fans feel, because the season had the way how it's unfolded is so wild, right? Like they said like they had like a 10% chance or whatever it was to get into the playoffs, and they rip off this winning streak, and it's like now they got an 80%, 88% chance, and you're just like, what? Like, how did that, CJ Stroud goes down and he misses games, and then they're beating the Bills, and you're just like, are these flukes? Like, is this sustainable? Like, what's actually, did Josh Allen just have a bad game? You just like, you're trying to like wrestle with it and try to figure out like, what am I actually seeing here? And that's why going up against the Chiefs with such a big game. And again, I know the Chiefs are not the Chiefs, but still, you're just like, this bubble could be popped if this is a Texans bubble. Like, the Chiefs are clearly good enough to pop it, and they didn't. And you're just like, okay, that's interesting right now. Like that, that's certainly interesting. I mean, here's the standings. Realistically, well, let me do it this way. I mean, they're the 7 seed, they're 8-5. The Bills have to play the Eagle. Their two toughest games are the Eagles, maybe. And that might not be a tough game. Who really knows what's going on with the Eagles and the Patriots? And so it's just like hopping up to the 7 to the 6 seed is obviously very realistic, especially because you have the tiebreaker with them. And then same thing with the Chargers. Chargers are playing the Chiefs. They play the Broncos. So like even getting all the way up to the 5 seed is completely realistic, obviously. And even obviously getting the division. And now, you know, the highest would be the 3 seed, because you're not going to catch the Patriots or the Broncos. So you can skyrocket up to the 3 seed. Now you're the 3 seed, and again, based off of that, it'll be a little bit hard to predict. You know, you assume the Jags will still be there. So you could face the Jags, you know, at home, first round of the playoffs, 3-6, but could find yourself in also like a 4-5 spot, where now you're either going up against the Steelers or the Ravens, like all games that you're clearly in a position to win, And the Cardinals, I mean, you know, I don't know, man. Going up against Jacoby Brissett, that defense, I think Jacob's going to see better days. And then the Raiders, I mean, come on. And then the Chargers, like maybe that O-line is legit for Justin Herbert by then, and his hand should definitely be a lot more healed. But like, I don't know, man. You should be able to cause him a lot of trouble. And then the Colts, maybe they're fighting for a playoff spot, or maybe like season's over, they're done. It's done. It was like kind of cool that they tried to bring in Phillip Rivers, but it's just like it's not doing anything. So there's a ton to play here for the Texans. Like they're not in the direct driver's seat necessarily, a little bit, because then you play the Chargers as well, and so if you beat them, right, again, you still have some of these tie-breaking scenarios and whatnot for the head-to-heads. But you know, it's interesting. They could really find themselves go all the way up to the 3 seed, and then if you're the 3 seed, you're in a heck of a spot there. You're in a heck of a spot to you beat the Bills before. So let's just say you just straight up switch spots with the Jags. And again, it's obviously not going to be that clean where everyone else just stays exactly where they are. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, you have to play the Bills or the Chargers again. And again, 2 teams that under this scenario you would have beaten. And maybe even the Chiefs sneak in, and it's like, well, you also beat them too. And so like now you're at the 3 seed, you play the you play the 6 seed, now you beat them. That next round you're now looking at either New England or Denver. Depending on where you're at in terms of that, you'll most likely play the 2 seed there, and then you're talking about going up against a young team, a young quarterback, Bo Nix or Drake May, and 2 quarterbacks that I believe in for sure. But it's just, I don't know. And I got news for you. Defenses travel pretty well, so even if you're on the road mile high or in New England, like it's just a cold, windy, ugly game, snowy, like the Texans defense will thrive in that. How will their offense go? Don't know. But it's just like there is a path. Last year, I'd say being the Chiefs feels like a bit of a stretch. Beating the Bills feels like a bit of a stretch, right? Like there was enough teams when you're like, and again, it's not like I'm saying that they can easily beat any of these other teams, because I think it's going to be really competitive, but it was hard for me to see last season. You're not going to beat the Chiefs. Like I just didn't see it happening, and it didn't happen, obviously. And it was like, do I really think you can beat the Bills? It's like, no. The Ravens, especially if they were full strength with, when Zay got back or something, like I just don't see it. I just see those teams firing at all cylinders. A lot of experience there. They've been there. Whether they're at home on the road, whether the weather's great or not, those are just teams that are going to show a level of resiliency and versatility that I think some of these current teams right now, like that, I don't see that with the Jags right now. I don't see that with the Chargers right now. I don't see it with the Colts right now. And again, even though like the biggest, the most difficult teams that you would potentially face, Buffalo, New England, Denver, again, you have already beaten Buffalo, so you've shown that you can slow down that offense. And that is the most dangerous. Like, that's what you have to do, right? You have to slow down Josh Allen. Like, that's how you win those games. And it's like, then it's just like, well, if you follow that logic, you're like, well, if you can slow down Josh Allen, you can slow down Patrick Mahomes. Like, why can't you slow down Bo Nix? Why can't you slow down Drake May, right? Like, it should just all be on the table. And you've played Bo Nix, obviously, and you did do a great job of slowing down that offense. So it's just kind of all there, you know. I mean, it really is. So, I think the Texans are in such a fascinating spot. I really, 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 really do. Their seating can be all over the place. They literally can jump from 3F. I see it more as 3, 5, 6, 7. 4 probably feels like that's pretty solidified with the Steelers or the Ravens. So, you know, you can be the 3 as high as a 3 seed, drop down to the 7 seed, which, you know, I don't know, maybe first playoff game. Like it is kind of interesting where if like you're the 7 seed and you go up against the Patriots, I mean, heck, even the way, depending on who wins, like it could still be like a team like the Patriots in their first ever playoff game with Drake May. It's like, then you have to go up against the Texans defense. Like, I don't know. Some of the possibilities I think are genuinely favorable for the Houston Texans, that it's just, you can't just as easily dismiss, nah, they don't have enough fire, their offense. Like, I agree with, like, there is a legitimate playoff run that can happen. I think you definitely have to play more perfect football, and the margin of error will be, you know, smaller than, say, like the New England Patriots or the Denver Broncos or whatnot, or even the Buffalo Bills for that matter, just because you do have Josh Allen, who in any given moment can take off. And, you know, to be fair, even the Pittsburgh Steelers, if it is like an Aaron Rodgers who's like going to just be going for broke in the playoffs, or even a Lamar Jackson, like if they now find themselves in the puffs, that means like they kind of wrote the ship a little bit, and maybe Lamar's kind of a little bit back to who he was, you know, earlier on in the season. So, but yeah, the Texans have the schedule right now. They have the tiebreakers. They're in the position. They are in the position, and I do not see this as a team that it's like, oh yeah, they limped into the playoffs and it'll be kind of interesting to see what they can do. But like, and I don't know, like, you're gonna watch the Texans play some playoff games and genuinely feel they can win this game. They can win this game. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for, but those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Houston Texans? How this defense has been able to really save the day, and now how the offense is starting to slowly but surely carry more of their weight, especially in these key moments, in these got-to-have-it moments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun, and please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.